Hello, and welcome to Executive Edge, where insights meet action. Brought to you by Hartman's team of executive advisors. This video series delivers thoughtful takes and expert analysis on the top trends shaping technology, business, and industry. Designed to fit into your busy schedule, each episode runs 20 minutes or less, breaking down the innovations, risks, and opportunities that matter most. No fluff, just the insights you need to stay informed and ahead of the curve. Let's dive
Rodney,
in.
it's great to see both of you today. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts about balancing innovation and cybersecurity and embracing AI for both healthcare and human service organizations. I'm sure you will agree this is a hot topic and it's top of mind, right, for most executives who I talk to on a daily basis. I've been going to a lot of conferences, both for healthcare and human service organizations, and there are at least 5 or 6 sessions every single conference that talk about different aspects of AI. Executives are asking, how can they create efficiencies during a time when staffing is such a challenge? Still is a challenge, and it's not getting any better. And many of the leaders I talk to are really interested in streamlining operations, streamlining systems, and they're thinking that AI could be a potential solution to giving them better access to information, data, timely report. So Anne, I'd love to, start the conversation. What are some of the most common efficiencies that for both health and human services organizations today?
Yeah, I'd break it down into a couple of different categories. Based on what you were recently saying, I think operational efficiencies is a really big one, and that's kind of the low-hanging fruit of implementing AI. Those are some of the easier implementation efforts, especially if they're wrapped around existing platforms, things like, for example, utilizing Copilot that can really help each employee get more hours out of their day. And also things that make kind of help that employee do their job as well. So whether it's an automated, note-taking system or something that is, able to compile all those notes in a logical fashion that kind of gives a recap of whatever issue or, kind of patient data that they might have been working with. But other areas of AI are lots of innovations in research, tremendous actually innovations in that space. Lots of innovations when it comes to personalized and preventative medicine. And then improving diagnostics. We're going to see more and more medical devices that are going to bring more data to the equation. And that greater amount of data is going to set us up for allow us to do more AI in the area of predictive analytics. But all of that data is also going to open us up to more cyber challenges as well.
What about areas like finance and accounting and payroll? Are you seeing applications for AI in those areas as well?
Absolutely. There isn't an area of business, or actually even in our personal lives, that AI won't miss. AI is touching every element of our lives. And so every element of business in the accounting sector, allowing people to do things more automated. There's even this year, you're going to hear more and more about agentic AI and AI agents. And those are kind of agents that can autonomously go off and do work. And then bring that work product back to whoever's guiding that AI. That can be done completely autonomously, or it can be done as I would recommend with a human in the loop, so that as this technology evolves, we're still monitoring its progress.
That's fantastic. You mentioned security. Rodney, where do you see the greatest risks when it comes to AI adoption, particularly around HIPAA compliance and other aspects of security?
Yeah, great question. AI is changing so rapidly, as well as, any other aspect of technology. But for just as far as risk, it's the increased overall threat surface. What are we trying to protect? Most AI, and I'm assuming we're talking mostly generative AI today, will rely upon data sharing, right? And where are we getting this data from? And with the pillars of cybersecurity, it's always going to be about confidentiality. How are we protecting that data and who has access to it? Integrity. So is this data accurate? When I'm pulling in data for a school report and, getting some of the what's termed today fake news, and it doesn't match up with the actual facts or the right perspective that I'm trying to bring to that report, not so much damage. Getting incorrect information for healthcare when we're trying to speed up like a prognosis or diagnosis of a condition. And if that data is not accurate, if the integrity of the source data is not there, that's a big risk. And then third pillar is availability. Once we become dependent on something like AI or a solution that depends on AI, what happens when that goes down? What happens when we are waiting or depending on speedy analysis for a cancer treatment and suddenly it's not available anymore? CIA is the acronym for that.
Thank you for that perspective. So from a security perspective, what should executives be thinking about if they're implementing AI? Should they have policies and procedures? Like, what should they do to really elevate their concerns around protecting their business when they're implementing AI solutions?
It's getting ahead of the game. When anytime there's a new solution or a new category, genre of solutions, we want to be ahead of the game as far as which ones we want to use, right? There's a bunch of different options out there for just generative AI. So whether it's the chat GPTs or the Microsoft Copilots, Google Gemini, we want to make a decision on which ones we want to use based on the pillars I spoke about earlier. Like, what are the protections in place that are available for each? How does it match up with our organization? Once we gather that information, make a decision on which systems we want to use, okay, what protections do we have available in our system to keep and protect our organization from unauthorized sharing of data, whether it's patient data in healthcare or proprietary data or sensitive information of any type. What protections are in place to prevent us from adding or integrating with systems that aren't sanctioned or allowed. So it's more of that first step of what do we want to do and how can we protect ourselves from the unauthorized use of AI. A lot of it comes down to just education of our users. So.
Yeah, training is a big cornerstone to really protect organizations as we move into this fast-paced kind of world of AI, because things are always changing. The threats are always changing. Right now, it only takes a few seconds of capturing somebody's voice. So you're on the telephone and you're going, "Hello, who's there? How are you?" That's enough of your voice for them to actually copy that voice and have it call one of your employees and maybe change the routing number on a vendor payment or whatever it might be. So there's a lot of new scenarios that are opening up, and your average hacker, thanks to AI, is now an above average hacker. So they keep getting more and more sophisticated. And it's really important to help balance the innovation with the risks. And one way in which organizations and companies can do that is to develop AI governance models. And your governance model is really kind of multifaceted. It's on one hand, it's kind of an oversight committee. And I know the word committee is sort of kind of feel, oh, not another committee, but that's actually could be a really critical committee to the future of your organization, because it's the people on that committee that will be making the decisions about which AI initiatives move forward and tracking whether they have all the right pieces of the puzzle in place to be implemented or to be effective after they're implemented. And then there's the employee policies that kind of rest into that tell the employee, whether the training is mandatory, which, large language models they're allowed to interact with. Are they allowed to use synthetic data maybe in certain scenarios? So lots of different use cases around that. But overall, you want to make sure that you're working in a really transparent environment and you're keeping your ethics as high as possible. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the patient and giving that patient the best care that's possible.
Well, and on the human services side, you've got clients, behavioral health organizations, disability support, and then senior living, you've got the residents, aging residents. It scares me to hear all the shenanigans that are going on now. And older folks tend to be more vulnerable to believe that the caller is real. So.
Yeah.
You made some really good points there, both of you. So Ann, how can mid-market healthcare or human service organizations get started using AI today?
I think it's kind of a good idea as a first step to do an AI assessment. And that's, we all think our security or our data might be, or our security and our data might be kind of, really well polished and it's ready to go. But unless you have an outside observer come in and truly assess that such scenario, it's hard to really look at your baby and say, oh, it's not ugly, when somebody on the outside can give you more of an honest opinion. And then also conducting an opportunity analysis, and that kind of helps you create the matrix of AI use cases that are going to work best for your type of organization. And every organization is different and every culture is different. So, with the kinds of AI use cases that might work for one, organization may not work best for another. But it's all designed to make everyone work more efficiently and kind of, raise up the standards in which you're providing care, but also make it, allow your employees to work in environments more pleasant for them, because these tools are working for them so that they can take more time to spend on patient care and less time on paperwork. And then it's doing a vendor analysis as well, kind of looking at the vendors that you're currently interacting with, understanding what their AI roadmaps look like. And at the end of the day, this is all designed to give you your own AI roadmap.
I think that what you said at the very beginning was great. I think an overall a readiness assessment, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
that would be that first step. A lot of times, because AI, I'm coming from the security side, and I talk about it as almost a bad thing all the time, and
Mhm.
being risky. But I'm also Terminator years old, so AI to me is that sentient being that takes over the world and ends it for humans anyway.
I'm
But
thinking more Star Trek future.
and at the same time, like I embrace a lot of the aspects of what we're calling AI now on the security side, and maybe it's just marketing and terminology, but behavior analytics is a big thing, where we are not looking for signatures or evidence of previous attack styles. We're more looking for anomalous behavior across the organization, something that's not allowed, something like me logging in from Sri Lanka to log in and evaluate systems, and then an hour later logging in from Dallas, Texas. And AI in certain systems would detect and call that something like impossible travel and block my access based on that not being a normal human activity. You may already, and you being an organization looking to adapt AI, but considering the risk, you may already have protections in place. Maybe they're not turned on or configured properly. You may already have a lot of the new next gen or smart solutions that are looking to detect and evaluate your baseline and detect anomalies based on that evaluation. So the first thing is to have that assessment and say, hey, what do we have in place to protect our data from being transferred outside of the organization without permission? What do we have in place to protect from an AI generated bot sending notifications outside of our organization that these vulnerabilities are available? So that assessment, I think, is the first step on both sides to see what is it that we want to do and what do we have in place to protect us.
Those are excellent thoughts. And I guess, sort of bringing everything together here, I think the goal of a lot of organizations is to create efficiencies, and to provide a better experience for patients, for clients, for residents and senior living communities. So, you've got on one hand, you've got staff efficiencies, and you've got on the other hand, creating a better customer experience. So as you really think about all of that, can AI really be a part of that solution for an organization to achieve those goals while staying safe and secure?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's very popular these days for a lot of different organizations are using chatbots. And chatbots have gotten increasingly sophisticated. So it can train, you can train the chatbot, on a lot of the specific information about your organization or what's available. You can even use the chatbots to help with training your employees. And also providing information down to somebody might ask the chatbot if they're, kind of a member of your staff, say, oh, how much time off do I get this year? Or what are the rules and safety regulations for using this piece of equipment? Those are the kinds of things that we're using the typical user interface that we're used to, like on our computers, to actually having vocal user interfaces. And so these voice user interfaces are more, they're easier to talk to. They're very human sounding, by the way. And you can, in some environments, it might be easier to, kind of text that chatbot or, talk to the chatbot directly. And you can even add an avatar to the chatbot so it can look like anybody you want it to look like.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And the chatbot speaks in almost every language on the planet. So that's an added benefit to people working in, different communities.
Well, that is fantastic. Any final thoughts for you, Rodney?
I'm just chiming in on Anne's last thought because prior to the last time I heard her speak about it, I was always against chatbots because, it's one of those repositories that could suffer from what we call data poisoning, where the information that is injected into the chatbot repository is malicious and incorrect. So something like a chatbot for finding the right part for refrigerator replacement, again, if it's incorrect, it can cause some inconvenience. Something like the wrong prognosis for someone with a certain stage of cancer or some type of medical situation is going to hit a lot harder. So it's one of those places where I was, apprehensive just based on the risk. Like I said, I heard Anne's last presentation on some of the benefits there and improvements. So she's bringing me over to what I still call the dark side, but it's probably the light side in reality. But yeah, just again, with everything that we do as far as technology and moving forward, there's always going to be a certain amount of risk introduced. I'd just like to say the last thought that it's the same as my first thought, always prepare in advance. Limit your scope as far as adoption in the beginning and, do a lot of test runs prior to make sure that one, it fits the organization, but two, it protects the organization as well. So,
Well, this has been such an insightful conversation. I know I've learned a lot today. Anne?
Don't be fearful of this technology. Go ahead and experiment with it. It's happening regardless of whether you want it to or not. It's a moving freight train right now. It's actually growing at an exponential pace. Be prepared for a lot of change, fast change, and just if things aren't working, if you pilot these early solutions, give them a try. Start to get your team kind of more educated in the area of AI, and that's going to protect your organization as well. When you get that training in place, whether it's a cyber training, and by the way, those cyber attacks might be not come to your organization, they might come to a vendor organization, and that could still impact you. So you've got to train a lot of training. Beyond the training, when you're piloting these kind of new projects and new opportunities, if it's not working, fail fast. Go ahead and put it on the back burner and try something new, because eventually you want to get to the solutions that are really going to work for your organization.
Fantastic. I really appreciate you both providing the information about today, because I know that this is something that so many executives are looking into, but they're just not sure how to get started. So you both have provided great suggestions and advice, and just want to say thanks for tuning in to the Executive Edge episode today about balancing innovation and cybersecurity for both healthcare and human service organizations. And thanks again, Anne and Rodney, for spending some time with me today.
thank you. Good seeing you both.
Take care.